with Kuzma, that's a name that I know a lot of Kings fans are interested in. Is Kyle Kuzma,
and they've been interested in him.
Yeah, he opted out today of a deal that would have paid him $13 million in the final year next year, which makes sense for him. I mean, I think he'd be a really good fit with the Kings, right? He's still in his prime. I think he would be more efficient in Sacramento, especially with all the spacing. And if you think about him as like a Barnes replacement, and HB's getting some attention throughout the league, which is not surprising. But if you decide, yeah, you know what, we'll go a little younger. We'll go with the guy who's got more size, who could play make a little bit. His defense has its moments up and down, right?
His defense has his moments. His 3-point, he's like a 33% 3-point shooter. But he was averaging 21 points a game last year in 7 boards, right? So like he crashes the boards, he can score.
And I think that 3-point number is going to go up. He'll just have better spacing and he'll be on a better team, right? And get out and transition and go. I'm not saying I'm in love with Kyle Kuzma, but I think it's gettable, and I think it can make you better.
Gettable, yes. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think I hesitate because now my standards are a little bit higher when it comes to expectations. And I'm like, what does Kuzma do for you to help take you to the next level? I know we've also mentioned in the past.
You just talked about an athletic body and go give me a rebound who can get a bucket that has averaged 20 a game in this league.
In, like we said, gettable, because someone just put in the chat OG Anunoby, and it's like when you think of Kyle Kuzma too and what you'd have to pay him. I don't know. There's things about Kyle Kuzma that still bother me, and maybe it's even like his little Hollywood side too.
You little Hollywood. I mean, look, I'm in Sacramento. I'm a little Hollywood, right?
No, you're not.
Like, I guess
your clothing is nothing like what he would do. Like, you don't even know anything about fashion.
Kuzma maybe wears
like,
something
show
like
everyone
this.
your shirt. Like, what a nerd. The bleeping jets. Oh, he turned the bleeping jets on. What a nerd with your.
Yeah. So Morgan
just
thinks,
like Kyle Kuzma.
Morgan thinks Kyle Kuzma is too Hollywood. As far as money goes for Kuzma, I don't know, because again, there's not a lot of money to spend out there. Unless does he want to go join the Houston Rockets?
Right.
They can pay him a shit ton of money. I mean, the Pacers have some money. That's an interesting team that you go, all right. I mean,
yeah,
Tyrese Halliburton with Kuzma, that's kind of fun. Benedict Mathurin, okay. But I think Sacramento, it's like, what is he going to cost? Is it 4-year, $100 million, $25 million a year? He opted out 13. I feel like he is in that neighborhood of around 22 to 25 million that someone
totally
would
fair.
try to land him. And I think that's okay. Like, that's not a terrible deal.
In today's NBA, and
Right.
that's, I think a lot of people, including myself, like I've done that, will be like, that's so much money. And it's just like, that's what that position's getting paid, and that's what that market is having to pay for certain guys. And I think for Kyle Kuzma, yeah, it's an absolutely fair price. We mentioned the good things that he can add. His defense, would there be times that it benefits in that team defense that the Kings provide? I don't know.
I don't think he's a bad defender. I just think he makes mistakes sometimes. Like, I don't know. Yeah, but I don't always think it's an effort thing with him.
Okay. You really just think it's like a feel for the game?
Like, let him get around and a guy who knows how to coach defense and Mike Brown, right?
I like that.
I just think, again, we get to this point with players where it's like, well, we want this player to solve all of the weaknesses.
I know.
Yeah, but he solves some, right? It's not going to be perfect. Who is the NBA free agent that they can go out there that would fix all their defensive issues? Jeremy Grant is the one we've talked about. Like, if he ends up, like, I like Jeremy Grant a lot. He is, 29 now? So he does a lot of things I like just from a defensive standpoint. I think there's sometimes offensively he's frustrating because, I feel like I expect a little more after what we saw from him in Detroit, where there are times you're like, wait, where is Jeremy tonight? And he had stretches throughout the early part of the season when you went, is he an all-star? He's playing awesome. He's playing good defense. He's scoring.
Jumper.
Yeah. I don't see that part enough, but he's a guy that's, again, another $25 million guy.
He's
25,
easily, yes.
Yeah. And so
his defense alone, because he can play on both sides of the ball and can make an impact on a lot of teams. Now, I think, too, he would play better in a system where he doesn't even have to be the 1 or the 2 guy, right? And that's why Sacramento would be so perfect for someone like Jeremy Grant. Yeah, I would obviously like that. His defense alone, special, long. And we always talk about how the Kings had their problems playing against length.
Last year in Portland, he played 63 games. He averaged 20 points a game. He did that for the first time in his career, shooting 47% from the field. He shot 40% from 3 last year on 5.7 attempts per game. He also got to the free throw line 5.4 times a game, shot at an 81% clip. The rebounding is not always a number that jumps out to you at 4.5 a game. But having a guy that you could throw at a couple of positions who has some playoff experience, who has some athleticism and scoring ability, I really like Jeremy Grant. It is tougher now. You go, God, does it make 29 years old? When's his birthday? Let's see.
Well, he's 28 right now.
He's 29. Oh, he turned 29 in March. Okay. And I hate how we talk about some of this stuff sometimes in the league too, because I'm like, he's 29 as if like he is an ancient person and that he's done now. I just, does the athleticism start to tail off again here in the next couple of years for him? And if you're going to give him like a 4-year deal and pay him you'd have to pay him a lot of money.
That's what happens with a lot of guys in this league, right? It's like you're at 29 giving them a lot of money, 3-year, 4-year contract where they're going to be 32 in their 30s. And sometimes what we're noticing with some of these players is that their prime, or just really the situation that they are in when it comes to an organization, is what elevates their game, even if they're 31 years old and they have the best, year of their life. So I think when I still see someone in their 20s just turned 29.
Especially in today's game, too.
Yeah.
Where if you're relatively healthy, people take care of their bodies, Someone in the chat was asking if Jeremy Grant and Sabonis played with each other in OKC and I wanted to double check. Yeah, they did play a season together in OKC. How funny.
Great. There's that connection.
Think about how far those two have come since their OKC days. Honestly, wow. Pretty tremendous.
Yeah.
The other guy I know we talked about last week is OG Anunoby, because Damian Barling had reported that the Kings are super intrigued by him and are aggressively pursuing him, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That to me, that is yes. I just don't think it's attainable.
And that's fine. No, you're not wrong when you say that, but I think when we talk about like what we want and the Kings needs, it's like it's OG, but you're exactly right.
If you're Masai, who is seemingly like a difficult person to deal with as a general manager, right? It's just hard to make a deal because he's just really good at his job. He's put together some pretty amazing deals throughout his reign as an NBA executive. If you're Masai, you're honestly going, give me Keegan Murray. Oh, You're not? Like, I don't think he's intrigued by, hey, give me Kevin Huerter and picks, or Davion Mitchell and Rashawn Holmes and picks. That's where it's tough. I just don't necessarily think the Kings have the package to get it done unless they're willing to part ways with Keegan. I would not part ways with Keegan.
I'm with you. OG, 25 years old.
I like him.
I like him a lot. Last season, he played in 67 games. I know health has also been in something.
Yeah.
That has also been something that has been connected to him in his career. I think a lot of people are attracted to what he's capable of doing on the floor, plus his length, being a 6'7" guy.
7'2" wingspan.
Can do it on both ends of the floor.
Oh.
I mean, how could you not want this guy? And this guy should cost a lot, but his health is the only thing that I would say that gives him that little knockdown.
He made the all-defensive second team last year, makes $18.6 million this year, and has a player option for $19.9 million. I know there's been a lot of talk, too, that his agent, Rich Paul, Clutch Sports, that's the same agent as De'Aaron Fox, and that he would love to see OG play in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And that, you know, if you're Rich Paul, and if this is where it gets all complicated, because all these trades, we always think it's just a GM to GM. It's like, not in today's league, especially an agent as powerful as Rich Paul. Like, they're involved in this stuff. And if there's talks about him getting traded to a certain team that is super interested, and Rich Paul hops on the phone with the Indiana Pacers or name the other random team that would want him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you can do that, but we're not going to sign an extension with you.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be hard to be giving up multiple picks and maybe a young talent to get that done. But if he wants to play in Sacramento, that's another crazy aspect. We talked about Bradley Beal, like, would waive his no trade clause to have come to Sacramento.
Yes.
Just crazy. A young player like OG going, yeah, I want to go there.
Dude, that's what on a lot of podcasts I've been listening to lately, in the last couple of days, a lot of people were saying, and how crazy is it that Sacramento is being looked at the way that Sacramento is being looked at? And it's like, yeah, it's not crazy. One, we have our biases. We live here and we love the shit out of this place. But two, you finally have what real hoopers want in their career. And they want to play winning basketball. And Mike Brown showed in one season what winning basketball could look like. And then on top of that, you heard all the guys at the end of the season talking about this team and Mike Brown, and how he only elevated their games, even if times were tough and they weren't playing and they were just a role player. Like, you want to play that type of basketball if you're someone who really wants to enjoy hooping in your career.
Are you surprised the Kings would not want to give up Keegan Murray in a deal for OG?
No, I'm not surprised that. And I mean, were you?
No. I mean, I just also have this thing in the back of my head when you hear, oh, they're not trading Keegan. They're not trading Keegan. I would have never thought they would have traded Tyrese Halliburton.
Facts.
And I think just in this league, in sports, in this business, you never say never on things.
Yeah. Unless you have no trade clause.
I think the reality is they would love, and they believe in Keegan, want Keegan here for a long time. So I don't think they want to move him at all. I think if they're making a deal, it's because like, we want him to be a huge part of it, and we want to add to this because we think we can be a really good team in the West very soon.
I think this organization understands the importance of team building, and team building isn't just like what you think of when people go, yeah, let's do like team building activities and like build that chemistry. It's like, no. When these guys actually develop together with a certain style of basketball, it's just going to get better each year, right? It's just like anything in life. When you just keep practicing and you learn more and more. And if you learn with this style of basketball under Mike Brown consistently over the years with some of the same guys, yeah, of course. That is the winning way. Look at the Nuggets.
I'm excited to see Keegan in year 2.
Hell
really
yeah.
excited. Yeah, I think they just want to add to that. I think trading him would be like, okay, so like if you ended up trading Keegan and you lost Barnes and then you add like, are you better?
Right.
I don't
Because
think
you
that's
got
the case. Yeah,
you got OG.
I want OG with Keegan,
Right.
and with Fox,
Yeah.
right, and with Sabonis, obviously. Yeah, I just have a really tough time seeing a way for them to get that deal done.
Yep.
Unless I'm totally missing something.
I don't think you're missing anything.
Especially if OG's available. And I'm sure Sacramento's not the only team he'd be cool with going to and signing an extension with, right? It's not like he's going, hey, Masai, the only place I'm signing an extension is Sacramento. Like, if Golden State could find a way to do it, he'd probably go play with the Warriors, right? There are different situations he'd be cool with.
And the only reason why that Masai would do something where it didn't, let's say, like if it did happen and didn't involve Keegan or something, it's because he sees some sort of weakness in OG that we haven't seen yet or something, you know?
Come on.
It's like, oh, yeah. He's actually never going to be fully healthy. I don't know.
We keep talking about all these players,
Yeah.
and these would obviously be replacements for Harrison Barnes. How are you feeling about the Harrison Barnes stuff right now? Like, do you think there's a chance we keep talking about other guys. Should we be talking about him more? Maybe that's a route that the Kings go. They go, we don't want to spend that much money on Kuzma. The OG trade can't happen. Let's sign Harrison Barnes for a couple of years because we know what he's about. We know what he's brought to the team.
I do. I like it for a couple reasons. I like it because, again, it's not from what we see and what we hear, like just from rumblings. It's you have players talking about his importance. You have coaches talking about his importance, and everyone's always like, we need to make sure there's a vet on this team. This is, I mean, not a young team, but they're, middle 20s, mid 20s, whatever. And then Harrison is that veteran presence that connects with all of them. You don't have Dellavedova now, like, and I'm not just saying like that's why you need to keep him, but at the same time, there really is so much value to him. And what he was doing on the floor last season, I think people are so hard on him because they expect him to really be that third guy all the time consistently. And that's not his role. That's not in his role, is going to keep adjusting as he ages.
Well, Mark Stein says the Pacers have interest in him. He reported the other day, league sources say that the Pacers have interest in Kings free agent to be Harrison Barnes, thanks at least in part to two rather prominent Barnes fans in the organization, All-Star guard Tyrese Halliburton and Pacers coach Rick Carlisle, who obviously coached Harrison Barnes with the Dallas Mavericks. Stein also says, although a return to Sacramento has not been completely ruled out, according to one source close to the process, Barnes is indeed a strong candidate to switch teams this offseason. Another team that was mentioned in a separate report, the Dallas Mavericks. Here's my thing with Harrison. I'm cool with a couple of years. I think the role has to change for him, and maybe he has another year left in this role. I just like the idea of him maybe being more of a bench guy. I think there are times, especially coming to the playoffs, these matchups defensively are challenging, but I think so many people overlook the things he's able to do well. His ability
rebounding
to get to the free throw line.
Yes.
How many times the Kings in a half court this year where it's like they got nothing and HB's like, give me the ball. Let me go draw a foul, shoot two free throws.
Yeah.
He has his moments. And I think there's a reason why there are going to be teams around the league that have interest in him. And it's not just the Pacers. I'm sure there's going to be other teams who probably can't pay him as much as the Pacers getting involved because you want a player like that on your squad. Like, you want a player who stays healthy, who plays all the time, who's a great teammate, who can knock down the three. And ever since he's come to Sacramento, he's done that pretty consistently as a player. He's definitely a player that can help a playoff team.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And that's why I even said as he ages, maybe that role changes. And if that role changes and let's say he's with the Sacramento Kings, that's a good thing. That means that they only added something, I mean, if you want to say better or to just better their roster and how this team flows. So yeah, that's why I'm fine. I would like to have him around, especially knowing that a lot of these people that we talk about is not totally realistic if you think about what they'd have to trade for.
I feel like the Pacers
makes
a lot of sense for Barnes, right? Midwest guy.
Tyrese.
He knows the coach.
They liked each other.
And they could pay him.
I was with someone around the Pacers and they're just like, yeah, Tyrese has the keys to that team. Like, anything goes.
And they've been pretty consistent with that since they got him.
Yeah.
I think before he even played a game with him, they're like, here are the keys.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep. So, and good for him. And that's why, like, if he has any say over this too, like, I'm sure they'll be somewhat aggressive with Barnes.
So, if they get Harrison Barnes,
Uh-huh.
they have Tyrese, they have Buddy Hield. Can Indiana get, like, Corey Joseph this offseason? Maybe they could sign free agent Dwayne Dedmon, the backup, Miles Turner.
Why not just get Marvin Bagley over
Trade
there?
Bagley. They have so many bigs. They could trade Bagley.
And if they started winning, I'm so pissed. I think that'd be the only thing that would just, oh my God, no.
If I'm a player, I think Indiana is If you like basketball, if you're like, hey, and you just are a fan of the game and you don't care about markets or anything like that, Indiana, to go play with Tyrese and that young group, it's kind of fun.
I would assume that everyone likes Rick Carlisle.
I think so for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, he's butted heads with guys throughout the years, but he's a respected head coach. He's been around for a long time. And, you know, I think Tyrese is a fun guy to probably play with if you're in the league. And they've got some money to spend.
Yes.
I think they're making a jump this year.
Ooh. Well, we thought that they were going to.
And then Halliburton got hurt.
Yeah. That and.
Ooh,
what?
that's a good point. Rory brought up a name. Sorry about the
What?
Rashawn Holmes, duh, because then Rashawn Holmes could be back with Tyrese.
Oh my! Honestly, I would love to see Rashawn. That would be the one thing I would root for.
Honestly, imagine that. Just if we said next year, Indiana had Tyrese, Buddy, Barnes, and Holmes, and they like made the playoffs.
Oh. No. That would sting.
They won 47 games. How?
I was just on board with Rashawn Holmes
I know.
elevating his game. Not that whole thing. I'm not about that life. No. That would be awful. It would hurt.
Yeah, I was trying to think about what Harrison Barnes could get paid. You know, I think he was making about $18 million last year,
Okay.
$17 million, something like that. You know, I think that number is going to surprise. I think it's just probably going to be
The
about
same?
that or a little more
I was going
for
to
at
say
least a couple of years.
Around the same.
But then you just see how salaries have raised. It's like, yeah, he's getting when he signed that deal. I don't know. Does that seem like too much of a jump?
When he did sign that?
Like he was, making 16. Like, is he still worth that in today's game? I don't know about that, but it's just like,
You know what's so sad? It's
he's
like
kind of like 16 million is probably now 18 million in today's league.
it's like he does his job. He's probably like, what more can I do to be like recognized like these other guys? You know,
Yeah.
like I add value in my leadership alone, and then I'm capable of still playing at a high level, and I work hard. Like, what more do you people want? Just pay me. You know?
Want some defense.
And he dresses like perfect on top of everything. Want some defense? God.
If you were to rank I'm going to play this game real fast, and the chat can play along too. Rank the options, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to give you could choose between OG, Kyle Kuzma, bring back Harrison Barnes. Let's say a trade for DeAndre Hunter,
Okay.
and then Kelly Oubre.
Well, I already know
1
where
through
he
5.
is.
1 through
Okay,
5.
okay.
So I'm going to name it off again. You've got.
But can I ask a question?
Yeah.
As I raise my hand.
Yeah.
Do I have to factor in contracts and everything, or is this just like
Just as players.
Okay,
I'm not
good.
going to make you factor in contracts.
Yeah. So just as players. Okay.
So OG, Kuzma, who did I say? DeAndre Hunter. If they trade for him from Atlanta.
Kelly. Oh, you already
Kelly
said
Oubre.
Okay, yeah.
And Harrison Barnes.
And Barnes. Okay. So I would go OG first.
Okay.
I really like Kuz,
Yeah.
but I'm also like Hunter is a little younger. 25 and 27, I think it is.
Okay.
Uh,
Plays defense.
I know.
He goes invisible
You know
sometimes on offense. Are you going to
We're going to get cute here. We're going to go Hunter 2. We're going to go Kuz 3.
Okay.
And I'm only not putting Harrison on here because it's like, I think it's a little bit prisoner of the moment. It's how can the Kings make a tweak to get better, right? Because if they keep Harrison.
You don't have to justify Harrison.
Sorry. Well, I just really I like Harrison on this team.
Okay.
That's why I'm putting him toward the bottom. Kelly Oubre had a good year last year. Well, in his 60 something games that he played.
I cannot, and if Mike Brown has a different feeling about this, okay. But Mike Brown was there with the Warriors when Kelly Oubre was there, and it was a weird fit. It was just a weird, and
really was.
The read and react wasn't there. He wasn't knocking down the three consistently.
Decision making was
He doesn't
weird.
always take good shots,
Yes.
right? Now, does it fit with what you're trying to achieve? I know he could score. I've seen him get hot in games.
All right, Harrison and then Oubre.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going.
Fine. Convince me.
It's interesting because I think OG is a perfect fit for Sacramento, especially if things are right. I do think sometimes the stuff gets a little overstated with him, but he's clearly a really good defensive player and checks some boxes that the Kings desperately need. I think the one thing that was encouraging for him offensively is after the All-Star break, I believe he averaged 17 points a game.
Who?
OG. Wow. 17.3 points a game on 54% shooting, 44% from three. That was after the All-Star break. So I like seeing that type of growth from him offensively because I think some people aren't sure about the three-point shooting consistently.
You know why Harrison Barnes should be at the top of this list?
Okay, here we go.
He's like the only guy that played more than 70 games.
Well, and
all those guys you mentioned were in the 60s.
Again, the durability thing, I think it's undersold.
Matters.
The guy plays 82 games in an NBA season.
It was 82? I mean, yeah, it's like, oh my God.
I want to double check
that is
his games the last couple of years for Sacramento. So, yeah, he went 82, 77. He had that year, 2021 season, 50, but that was the COVID year, right?
Okay.
That was a weird season, 58, and then 72. Like, he's...
You ready? OG 67,
okay.
DeAndre Hunter 67, Kuzma 64, Oubre 48. Uh-oh.
I would go OG 1, okay. Kuzma 2, DeAndre 3, HB 4th, Oubre last.
Okay, we're pretty much the same. It was just Hunter and Kuz, which, by the way, I'm just being cute with it, too.
I just...
So cute.
When I hear Nick Nurse talk about OG Anunoby's defense and talk about he's almost a positionless defender, and then you look at... I'm on YouTube, of course. And yeah, I know mixtapes, highlight packages.
Love me.
But I was just watching like OG Anunoby defensive highlights from last year. And I don't think it's overstating it because the guy was on the all defensive team. So I'm watching these games and it's like, wow, he's defending Dame multiple possessions. Oh, wow, he's defending Luka multiple possessions. Oh, wow, they're playing the Kings and he's defending Sabonis in the post. Like, he has the ability to legitimately defend multiple positions. And if he can find consistency offensively and kind of perform like he performed after the All-Star break,
if you love him so much,
that's a damn perfect fit.
If you love him so much, what are you willing to give up, bud?
That's the thing.
Exactly.
I can't give up Keegan, so I'm out. As Mark Cuban would say.
Done. I'm out.